Welcome back to Get Down to Business, a show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. So all of our listeners know the importance of human connection, but did you know that it actually contributes to work satisfaction? And I know that that is something very, very relevant, especially during the past pandemic year and a half. Is it turning into 2 years of working remotely? So many employers are trying to bring staff back into the office, and they are realizing it's more important than ever to focus on those workplace relationships. My next guest, rather, is the author of a new book, Leading with Love and Laughter, Letting Go and Getting Real at Work. That's Zina Sultch. And Zina, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a great opportunity to talk about something that really matters to a lot of people. So thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So Zina, I love to talk about background and sort of what's contributed to your interest in research on the topic. Let's talk about you and maybe a moment or two about your co-author, Patrick. Zina, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So thank you. My background has always been about education and learning, and started my career out as a classroom teacher and then moved into working with adults and leadership development. But most of my research was always about behavior, human behavior, why people do what they do, why they say what they say, why they feel what they feel. It just has always fascinated me, the way the human brain works. And so I ended up working in federal government, but did work with American University as a faculty and was doing leadership development. And my co-author was the director and currently is the director of a leadership program at American University called Key Executive Leadership Programs. And that is where he and I started talking and having lots of very long conversations about what truly makes a great leader. We would see so many executives come through our program, sit in our classes, wholeheartedly participate, and do everything that we tell them to do, or that our equations say we should do, whether it's change management or organizational management or building teams. And yet some just really shined as good, strong leaders and almost had followings from their employees. And so Patrick and I sat down, and one day we were talking, and I said, there's this like X factor, for lack of a better word, that certain people have that they bring to the workplace. And the more we started talking about it, the more the topic of love and caring and vulnerability and humility came up. And then we even took it to the next level, because I said some of the best leaders I've seen really bring joy to that workplace. Find ways that we can laugh with each other, laugh at some external factors that might be impacting us in sometimes negative ways, but to really be able to connect on that human level. And that's how the book was born.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fascinating. And we know that for better or worse, leaders set the example. And I'm fond of saying that you're not much of a leader unless you have followers. So I want to talk on that piece. The first word of the title of the book, again, Leading with Love and Laughter, is leadership. So what can leaders do to allow themselves to let go and get real?
I think the first step is really to get to know themselves, understand what makes them afraid to let go, what makes them feel that they have to have this persona, what makes them feel that the only way they can lead is by being large and in charge sometimes, and what makes them feel insecure about that. And then starting to take some small risks, starting to open up a little bit, try different things. Throughout the book, we never say do this. We always say try and ask yourself these questions. And so we kind of walk people through a process where they can slowly self-discover, open up themselves to the opportunities to feel love in the workplace. And as we know, the caveat here is there are so many different ways you can define love. There's love for parents and children. And so we're talking about the kind of love that's okay to have for colleagues and those that you work with, and frankly, those that you spend a tremendous amount of time of your workday with, whether it be through Zoom meetings or other kinds of virtual spaces. And now more than ever, that feeling of connectivity and that feeling of joining at the human level is so critical.
Absolutely. And I don't want to share all of the secrets from the book, but what are some of the practical things that you would say? How do you help teams come together, love one another, and have fun?
I think getting to know each other at that level, asking each other questions that go beyond the workspace, getting to know what drives their passion, what makes them love their job, what parts of their job do they love or don't love, what motivates them to get up in the morning, understanding what the why factor is for your job. Why are you here doing what you're doing is a really good place to start.
Absolutely. No, that's so important. So, finally, what are some of the highlights from the research that you and Patrick have done, just regarding the links between the positive emotions in the workplace and employee wellness and engagement? What are some of those just big picture things that might surprise our listeners?
So something as simple as how laughter can actually eliminate pain. So imagine feeling stress at work or feeling some kind of negative feelings, that laughing produces in the brain a chemical response that allows you to stop feeling the pain. And there's all this research out there showing how even in the medical field, they would practice or study how laughter impacts the human reaction. And then love as well, that we know people who are connected with others, there are all these pleasurable hormones that get released when you feel love and you feel loved or even exhibit love to others. So our brains, our bodies are built to do this. And when we do tap into that, everyone around us, not only ourselves, but everyone around us feels the impact of that, what I would call healing.
That's fascinating stuff. Again, I'm chatting with the co-author of the book, Leading with Love, Love and Laughter, Letting Go and Getting Real at Work, published just in May of 2021. We're going to continue our conversation with Zina Sultch in just a moment. You're listening to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Check out my website, shalomklein.com, to download the past 8+ years of podcasts from the show. We'll be right back after this quick break. How do we lead with love and laughter? That's the topic of a new book from BK Publishers, published in May of 2021. And I'm thrilled to be rejoined by co-author Zina Sultch, who's been leading development and diversity programs for the federal government for 20 years and currently serves in the Senior Executive Service. And together with co-author Patrick Malone, who spent 23+ years in the Navy. I won't hold that against him, being an Army guy myself, but both of you certainly know a thing or two about building organizations. So one of the things that I saw from your book is moving from sterile exchange-based relationships to caring, loving relationships in the organization. And I want to sort of add on top of that, the times that we're living in right now. We're in mid 2021 and still dealing with a lot of challenging environments. So Zina, what advice do you have for the workplace?
So one of the things that we are very cognizant of is the external cultures that we see and we hear a lot about, where love is a no-no. It's something that you don't say, you don't exhibit. Work should be very sterile because you don't want to cross lines. And we hear that a lot. You know, don't cross the line in the workplace. And we are far from saying that you should be crossing those lines. What we're saying is, if you take a look at the way that you feel in the workplace and you're not feeling the love that you should be feeling and the joy, and you're not feeling that your teams are performing optimally, then there's something that you could be doing in that space that can help move people along. And now we've got the barriers of not being in the same workspace, whether it's because of COVID or people are moving more now to remote, full-time remote, but we are connecting through video, through telephone. We are making those kinds of connections. The key here is, are we keeping that barrier up between ourselves and our employees, our colleagues, our staff? Because if that barrier exists, what we know is we're not getting the most from our employees. And now more than ever, in a remote environment, we've got leaders who are very against this. They're worried about this. But the questions we ask is, what are you doing in this space? You could be connecting on such a deeper level because you have almost immediate contact. You're almost always on a video call or a Zoom meeting. So moving beyond those barriers that we have ourselves created because of fear or because of the media that we're hearing, don't cross certain lines. And of course, again, I'll reiterate, we don't want people crossing lines, but we definitely want people taking a little bit more risk with being vulnerable and expressing your feelings. We also, one of the things we always say is check yourself. How are you feeling? And if you're coming in and you're feeling the stress of work and you're feeling like you're not enjoying your time in the workplace, then you're not giving your best either.
Absolutely. Such helpful advice. And I know that you and Patrick have done extensive research in this important topic. And it's so important that as we rethink, as we reimagine the workplaces of tomorrow, that we're also thinking about the people and the teams and the environment that we're creating as well. So Zina, you've shared a lot of great information with our listeners. And I want to make sure that everybody can get in touch with you and, of course, pick up a copy of the book. So firstly, where can people find the book and where can people learn more and get in touch with you?
So sultchmalone.com is our website, and we encourage people to go there, and that will give you all of the different venues through which you can purchase the book. If you're interested, read more about Patrick and me and our history, and also be able to contact us via email. And we look forward to hearing from people. We'd love to hear your comments, good, bad, ugly. We're very open to understanding how people are receiving this message.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Zina. We appreciate you and look forward to having you back on because this is a absolutely critical issue and certainly encourage all of our listeners to get in touch with sultchmalone.com. Zina, thank you so much for joining us. You're listening to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Get on my website, shalomklein.com, and be sure to check out our sponsors, chicagosignaturelimo.com and healthplanchicago.com. For all of your health insurance and transportation needs. I'll let you figure out which website goes to which. But we'll be back next Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 560, The Answer to Success. Let's get down to business.